Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
I want to take a moment and just talk about Taverns of Tiefenthal and why I think it bombed. Now, when I say it's bombed, I don't have any access to sales numbers or how well this did. There was an expansion, so it couldn't have been so bad. But there was a lot of anticipation and hype for this game. So I'm going to talk about this, but also talk about it a little bit in the grander scheme of things. Why do games bomb sometimes? And this one is just a narrow case that kind of focused on a little bit, and I played through it a lot. I really like this game, so I'd like to use it as a basis of why some games bomb. Number one, expectations. This came on the heels of Quacks of Quellenberg, and I think people were expecting big things. The game is cute. It has a kind of that same feel or vibe into it. You know, when you're looking at the hype box, you're not playing the game. So when you're looking at a game and, you know, when people are hyping it up and just talking about Forge release, I haven't played it yet. I'm just kind of looking at what it is. And after the glorious nature of Quacks, people were really hyped about this game. Number two, they decided to scale everything back and add all these modules into the box. And I feel like that's very confusing. Some people will say, well, if you use 1, 3, and 5, that's the real game. Here's what I think. I think all of these things were the game, and I have no inside information. I'm literally making this up. But I feel like they scaled it back and scaled it back and scaled it back to make it as easy as possible to get into, because they're kind of known for these party games, and they're kind of known for the lighter fare of games, and I think they wanted to be very accessible so they could go more mass market with it. And I think that's a mistake with this game, because this game does not feel like it's something inside of their wheelhouse. It feels like it's a little bit bigger than what they normally would put out, or what their bread and butter is. It almost feels like it didn't meet the internal expectations, so they were changing the outward of it. Because I feel like the game really shines if you go through and you put these modules in. Maybe not the fourth one, but the rest of them, I feel like, really kind of makes the game breathe and grow. And it shows me the potential of what the game really is. So I'd immediately add 1, 2, 3, and 5. 4 I'd only keep if you played it a lot, because I think you have to make the strategic decision before you play. Well, the rest of them are like in-game production. But I really feel like that held it back. Because when you open up a game like this, I'm like, well, what's the real game? What am I supposed to do here? Which one of these is better than the other? And I'm almost trial and error having to play the game to figure out what experience I like the best. I think that holds it back a little bit. This leads into the third thing, which I think very clearly is people don't want to fool with a game that much. We need to sit down, play it once, and like it. That's going to get it back to the table and get it back quickly and get it back enough that I want to add some of these modules in. And I feel like this doesn't do that. I think it's because the first 2 rounds are rather rough. It's very easy in the first 2 rounds, possibly, especially in a 2-player game, to get dice I can't use. And that's not fun. 3s are pretty bad in that first round. I can move up the center track. I could get 1 extra coin. I could potentially get 1 extra beer. But it just doesn't feel, it's the weakest of all, and you don't want to start out there. I'm looking at these patrons. I can possibly make good coinage off them or serve them, which is what I want to be doing, but I can't because I drafted a 3 because that's what was available to me. And that kind of stinks. So the dice rolling, the luck of that dice roll and that drafting, and drafting eliminates some of that luck and randomness, but we're still beholden to whatever everybody rolls. For example, if everybody rolled 3s, which is, I know, not likely, we're stuck with 3s. That's just the way it is. I think it holds back the first couple of rounds and starts you out on a sour note. Number 4 is I feel like the fun in this game comes towards the end. And that's usually a good thing. But because of number 3, where I kind of soured at the beginning of my experience, at the fun, I may or may not be able to get to the level I need to have a few upgrades and to be able to kind of start putting together the larger combos. Now in this game, you're drawing cards, really until you bust. But you're drawing cards, hopefully to getting a lot of cards that will work for you before you fill up your restaurant. And I feel like, while that's a fun mechanism, and there are a couple ways to kind of get a mulligan or a redo on that, I feel like there is a possibility that I have played games where 3, 4 turns in a row, I'm just not getting what I need to get out. Or they're not distributed properly where I can get them out and really get that big combo going. Because this game feels fantastic when you land those big combos. But when your turn is kind of wasted and somebody else is doing all this fun stuff, I don't know if that's the experience that I want to be portrayed. Now, that after 4 or 5 plays, that will kind of even itself out. If I'm just doing a single play, that can be a real bummer. Number 5 is that the theme doesn't exactly fit what you're doing here. I really do like running the pub. I think that's an excellent theme to have here. I love the upgrades. I love how the cardboard flips over and everything in your pub starts getting bigger and more fun and gives you more powers. And I like the flipping of all that. That is excellent. I think people are really into that. That left us with some components that are small or everything kind of seems fiddly as you're going through and you got to build everything when you play. I think that's okay. The problem is that you should be fulfilling orders, and a game called Tavern does this a lot. The whole game, you're fulfilling orders. I'm running a company here, right? And this one, people come into your pub, there's no negativity to not serving them. That really is counterintuitive and counterproductive to running a pub. I need to be fulfilling those orders here. Now, when I get the beer, I'm fulfilling orders from somebody somewhere else and then putting them in my deck so I can fulfill them later. So even the beer I'm creating isn't going to them. I'm assigning dice to them. So it kind of breaks down the theme a little bit and detaches me from what I'm doing. And I think that's a big reason why this one could also fail. This is just a small list of things. I noticed that Taverns kind of did when it flopped. And I noticed I've seen this in other games. The detachment from the theme. Not having good rounds. Automania is a game that when you first start out, you're building cars, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I don't gotta wait 3 or 4 rounds to do that. Black Orchestra is a game where it's like you're trying to assassinate Hitler, everything has to come together, so you might only get 2 swipes at him in a game. I feel like it kind of works there in what you're trying to do. You don't want to be trying to assassinate him every time, because of course you would get caught. With this theme, I want to be serving patrons, but there's a lot of times where you don't, and that theme disconnect can hurt a game. This game is rather fiddly with the things, and I think the expectations were set up. But this is something that we can learn and discuss and talk about why a game that's actually pretty good would flop. And I feel like these are 5 reasons why Taverns likely flopped.